Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Polyhedron Collider Cast, episode 80. I'm Steve Tudor.
I'm John Cage.
And I'm Andy Lewis.
And still no Rory.
Still no Rory. Apparently his excuse this week is he's got something of work to do. Yeah.
Doesn't he realise it's the evening? And
exactly.
Work's what you do in the daytime, right?
It's what you're supposed to do in the daytime, yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's where I visit during the day.
It's where I'm located.
Exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Where we go. It's who pays the bills during the day.
Yeah, exactly. We should actually have those little party hats and little party poppers and those little things that go because this is at... What the hell was that, John?
That's when, they always bend at the end and then they start making a weird noise afterwards. That's what that was.
It sounded like gas.
I thought he trodden on his cat.
The cats have been banished, as per the podcasting pre-recording checks dictate.
This is actually our 4th anniversary.
Ah.
Today is 4 years since we released the first episode. So the day of recording, not the day of this going out, but the day of recording is 4 years since we recorded our very first podcast.
That is quite terrifying.
It is. It seemed like only yesterday we were talking shite in John's dining room. Now we're talking shite in our own dining rooms.
And the audio quality thanks us for it.
God, yes. Have you gone back and listened to the early episodes?
Yeah, I have.
Recently, no.
Oh, God, do it, and then cry and cringe. I mean, the quality of our banter is about the same, but thankfully the quality of the audio is considerably better now.
Yeah, we're still talking just as much bollocks.
Mm-hmm. If not more.
Yeah.
Practiced bollocks. Experienced bollocks. Finely honed bollocks.
Oh, my.
Oh, dear. Well, if you'd like to... No, I was about to say, if you'd like to see these bollocks in person, I'm gonna rewind that one. Backpedal. If you'd like to see this finely refined banter in person, we are going to be at Airecon, which will actually be our next show. So we are doing... Airecon, of course, is the 13th to 15th of March. So that's not too far away, in Harrogate. Up to north. And we have got a slot in a live episode, I believe, Mr. Lewis.
We do indeed. We are on at 1400 hours in the seminar room on the Saturday. We have a 1 hour slot, so I think in reality it's probably going to be about 45 minutes by the time we've got ourselves sorted out and set up. But yes, 1400 hours, 2 p.m. in the seminar room, presumably the main venue. I'm sure the seminar room will be indicated by the host, Mark.
Yes.
Come and listen to us finally tune our bollocks.
And join in with the banter.
We are going to hopefully try and record this time because we didn't record last year's episode. Was it because we decided not to, or did all the recording equipment go in Andy's car, which then got shrunk?
Bit of both.
That was it. Yeah.
I was supposed to bring it, but didn't because I decided it was too much hassle, and then crashed anyway, so it wouldn't have got there either way.
Yeah, we were doomed not to record that one.
Yes.
I have a fresh lapel mic, fresh from Amazon.
Good man.
It's going to be a little bit of a trial to see how we do with them, but hopefully we get some decent quality audio out of them and can put it onto our next... Save us recording another actual episode. I'm just being lazy.
It's efficient, Steve. Efficient.
Efficiency. Yes, that's it. Yes. Efficiency.
I think you lose some of the magic when you do it the second time. Speaking from experience, having had to re-record 1 or 2 episodes after certain...
We've never had to record an episode a second time, surely, John?
No.
Sure that kind of audio recording error would never happen with this professionally produced podcast.
Never.
Nope.
Nope.
All I can say is it's happened to the best of us, and by best of us, I mean every single one of us at some point.
Yes.
Yes. Indeed it has. We also are potentially going to be doing a live show at UK Games Expo.
I probably won't be there for that one, sadly.
Well, I don't think Rory will either, so it's just going to be me and Andy at this rate.
Wow. The very best that Polyhedron Collider has to offer.
Now, we don't know details as of yet. What I have been told so far is it's likely to be Friday afternoon, and I think 4 till 5 is what is the slot we've been offered at the moment. But we will let you know more details close to the time, and of course we will be in the UK Games Expo programme.
Wow.
We don't know what we're going to do there, but it'll be similar to the one we're doing at Airecon probably, but we'll wait and see.
We don't know what we're doing that either.
Shh, Don't tell them. That's our practice round.
Ironically, the UK Games Expo was easier because then we'll have been to the press preview, so we can just talk about the press preview for an hour.
That's true. It's true.
Could.
Yeah. See? Problem goes away. Solves itself.
I'm going to lay money down now that it will, A, not be that easy, and B, not what we end up talking about.
Also, there could be quite a large audience at the UK Games
That's
Expo.
true.
I mean, there could be quite a large audience at Airecon for that matter, but more likely to be a large one at the UK GE.
Does this mean that we are now officially a big deal?
No.
You couldn't have lied
sure?
just to make me feel better. I'm pretty sure, in being invited to podcast at the expo is pretty big news.
I think we're in the smaller of the two rooms, so I don't think we're that big a deal.
But still, the UK Games Expo, the biggest expo in the UK, is asking us to talk there.
They have heard us, right? No, they must not have done. That's why we've been invited. One time only, we'll be at the expo, and the second time will be to apologise.
No, it'll be amazing. Come and join us. Well, I say us.
Me and Steve.
Us in spirit.
Several of us.
We could FaceTime you, John, if you want. Put you on an iPad or something.
Yeah, I could get you guys a cardboard cutout, and you could just stick an iPad over my face, and it'd be like I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, an Apple Watch over the front of it,
Son of a bitch. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to do it. I'm out.
What's this, John? Your budget's shrinking.
Yeah, I've discovered that having tiny humans, even before they arrive, start to encroach money-wise. Like, you have to buy this stuff, lots of stuff. You need to have lots of things and stuff, and things to transport the stuff in. It's eating into my board game budget, and I'm not very happy about it.
Oh, well.
Well, rather than a cot, you could just buy Gloomhaven. And then, that's doubles up then.
Good point, yes.
In fact, if I just get some wheels, I could just stick them on the side of some of my larger boxes. You don't need a pram. Got a perfectly good box lid.
Exactly. TI3 will do that.
Yeah, I've still got the receipt. I'm going to go and send that pram back.
Good shout. You don't need all of that paraphernalia at all.
Kels might have a different idea, but, she'll get over it, right?
Exactly.
And me.
What we did this weekend, actually, almost like as if in anticipation, me and John played some games, and we played a lot of games, actually, didn't we?
We did.
Well, mostly short games, but we did actually get through quite a chunk, and actually got through some of my Shelf of Shame, which was pretty cool.
Bloody hell, well done.
We're going to talk about a few of them a bit more in detail later, but come with some of the kind of like quick ones. We briefly played Guerrilla Marketing, which is a new game from Roxley Studios. Now, say we're going to talk about this again because I'm going to take this to Airecon with me. Now, this is described as a parlour game. Not just a party game, a parlour game.
Shall we have a cup of tea and smoke a pipe?
Indeed.
Excellent.
And in this, you are a marketing company and you have to come up with products and then slogans for those products. But the way in which you do it is all determined by rolls of the dice. So the rolls of the dice will determine the product category, and then it will do the subcategory. So, for instance, we had food, and every person has a slightly different category. So I had food on a stick. John, you had sandwiches, or was it?
Wraps.
Wraps. And then someone else had sandwiches. And then to find out what the name of the thing you're going to sell is, you roll dice with letters on. You draw dice out of a bag, roll them, and get the letters. And then that's the acronym for your product.
Right.
The slightly... Yeah, and that's so to begin with. You're like, right, I've got to come up with some really clever like slogans and some advertising bits and pieces. I need to get this right. I need to be really inventive. And you sat there looking at like I can't remember what the letters were now, but it was something random like it's got to begin with GZST. And you sat there like, what the hell kind of sandwich involves those letters? You quickly realise after one round that it doesn't really matter what you come up with. You could just be as random as you like. Because the following round, it's all about trying to pick which of the foodstuffs or whatever the topic was match up with the randomly rolled judging criteria. So it's kind of hard to describe, but the essence of it is that when you get to that judging part, it doesn't matter how good your answer was, how on topic it was, or anything like that, because it'll be judged on something really random, like which one was the biggest, or Steve's got the rules in front of him. He's going to read some out.
I've got one of the additional kind of like crib sheets, and I've got organisations. So you might your first category might be an activist group or a cult, and then the judging will be which one has the smallest headquarters, which one has the harshest internal politics, which one has the worst logo, based just on a name you've all come up with. But then you've got to do it again with a slogan for the company. So you come up with the name of the company or the name of the product, then you come up with an advertising slogan for it, again, based on random rolls of the dice. And it's like, I mean, this is the one again for organisations, like best ad featuring a mascot, worst rap song in an ad. And so you're going to judge it based on that judging criteria for the random thing someone's come up with. It is very, very random. Takes about 10 minutes to play, but is actually quite humorous. I said we'll cover it in a bit more depth later, because I'm going to take it to Airecon, because I think this is going to be a really good one for, last half hour at Airecon, or we're all grabbing a beer in the hotel or something like that.
Excellent. Well, whilst you lot have been playing light, fast, easy games, I kind of went to the other end of the spectrum over the last week or so.
Well, there's a turn up for the books.
I know, Andy in Heavy Game Shocker. And I have been making my way through On Mars.
Bloody hell.
When you say making your way through, do you not mean wading or indeed drowning in?
Yeah.
It feels like a trek.
It is hard work to start with. I've now played it fully twice with Alora. So the first time we played it took us about 4 hours. And the second time we played it took us about 3 hours. Once you get used to it, it's not actually mechanically that difficult. But there's just so much going on, and so many moving parts, and so many things to keep track of, that it will break you. Alora got to the point where she just completely ignored half of the board because she just got baffled by it.
That sounds like a reasonable approach.
I can believe that, yeah.
But, I have won both games, obviously.
Oh, God.
But it's very, very good. I won't go into any more detail here, because I'll wait for you guys to play it so we can have a proper chat. But
I want to have a proper play of it. I mean, I've played it kind of two-handed to try and teach myself the rules. And I've done that twice now. I haven't even attempted the solo rules yet, because solo rules are another layer of complexity to add to it. So I've just done, right, I'm going to play this player and I'm going to play that player. So, I'm competing against myself. And, yeah, it's not so much... Some of the actions are really, really straightforward. And some of the actions, it's generally like you've got two lots of actions. Those actions you take in space and those actions you take on the surface. And the space actions are really straightforward. They usually just spend some workers, grab some stuff. Whereas the planet side stuff is all to do with what technology levels people are at and where your rover is on the board. And then you've got to work out have you got the resources to pay for that. And some of them are quite easy, move your rover around or move your little robots around. But then like building and advancing and all that kind of stuff involves keeping track of like 4 things that are going on. It's like the amount of times, even when I'm playing both sides of the game, I've done something and then gone, I couldn't do that. Yeah,
I had to stop my learning game because of that. I actually built a facility I wasn't allowed to and basically had to stop. Oh, I don't have greenhouse tech. Shit. I've put 3 greenhouses down. Oh well.
Oops.
Right, that's enough learning for now. It'll be fine. But suffice to say, I really do enjoy it. It's a very, very good game, but it is not to be taken lightly.
No, definitely not.
I think didn't you look at its heaviness rating? Is it something like 4.5, John? I think you looked it up.
I can't remember now. It's significant. I remember that.
So it's very good. So now I have the other 4 what I got at the same time to get through now.
Oh, bloody hell.
I'm going to be a broken man by the end of March, I think.
I would quite like to play it, but you'll have to be patient with me, I think. Yeah, I liked the idea that you're all kind of competing for these resources, but it's not entirely certain that there's going to be enough resources for everyone, or indeed anyone, to survive, let alone someone to win the game.
There is. You just have to be careful with it. I've never run out of resources between us because you can always build something. There's essentially a cycle of buildings. like one will feed the next, which feeds the next, which feeds the next, which then feeds the first one. So you can always build something and then get yourself onto that little loop. And because you're all contributing towards of this, I mean, it's still a semi-co-op, but there's always something you can build. So you're never actually going to be completely scuppered.
Okay, Steve had given me the impression that you could actually screw it up. And in fact, it was reasonably likely that you were going to screw it up collectively.
The first time I played it, I did get to a point where I think I'd splurged on my resources and didn't have any buildings.
So I was going to say, you can probably almost always build a mine, unless you don't have the tech, but you can just grab the tech and then build a mine, because that just needs a person, and then you can go from there. It's a long way of doing it, but it can be done.
And I think that's why it's such a complicated game, in that it is maybe not possible to completely scup yourself, but definitely gets yourself into a point where you are backed into a corner, so you have no choice. You have to do this action, which usually means you've got to get the ship back up to orbit, grab that, then go back down.
Yeah, so 4 turns later, you might be able to get back on track. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
By which time, half a complex has been built, somebody's gone up the track, and they're like 10 points ahead of you. But yes, there's a lot going on.
So another one that we managed to get to the table was Tao Long, The Way of the Dragon, which is something that I've been hunting for quite a long time, so long that I've forgotten about it, until Rory pointed out that he had a spare copy, at which point I got quite excited. So Steve and I got a chance to play it, and I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought I enjoyed it exactly as much as I was expecting.
It's exactly met your expectations.
Yep, and I had high expectations, so that's good.
Excellent, well done.
It's a weird game. It's kind of like a Mancala dragon dogfighting game.
Yeah, that's a
Tron
pretty decent
Cycles-y style.
Oh
almost.
God.
Yeah. So you got this. The Mancala is I actually don't like the term, but it's one that a Mancala is when you pick up a bunch of pieces and then deposit them all down in a sequence.
Like in 5 tribes.
Yeah, 5 tribes is a perfect example. So what it is, you've got 8 points of the compass, and each one of them allows you to move your dragon in a different way, or attack or charge up an attack.
Mm-hmm.
So you pick up the tokens on one space and deposit them in around clockwise, and the last one it lands on is the action you take.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that to try and get the action you need to do to maneuver your dragon in the right place. And what you're trying to do is trying to attack the opposing player's dragon.
Yeah.
You can either do that by basically biting them in the tail, or charging up either a water attack or a fire attack, which then it's quite different in that the water attack is based on how much damage people have already taken, whereas the fire attack you have to charge up and take the action several times to build up fire tokens. And there's also this little almost like area effect thing, so you get bonus points for the damage depending on where you are when you instigate the attack. So it's kind of quite chessy.
Yeah.
That's the right word I'm looking for. Everything is quite out in the open. You know exactly what you can do. If you can think ahead, you can also work out exactly what your opponent can do before you've even made your decision, for your action. I mean, we only played the basic game. There was lots of other things in there, like there was terrain you could put in, like little mountains which block movement. There's portals that allow you to move through portals. And there's also a coin we looked at which flipped the direction of which you drop the beads on these spots.
Yeah, and the beads are black and white. So there's another rule as well that dictates using different colours, and if you use all of the same colour, you get additional bits and pieces. It's really interesting little game. Really good little 2-player game.
Okay.
I just quite liked the Steve chose some pretty good music to play along with it, and it did feel like a proper Chinese kind of thinky puzzle game. You could picture a couple of wizened old men stroking their beards, sat next to a little stone table playing this thing.
Awesome.
Drinking their sake.
Possibly even in Tang Garden.
Ooh. Oh, it's arrived, does it?
Oh, yeah, it's arrived and I've played it.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, it turned up.
So how blingy is it?
Oh, it's very, very pretty. It really is. It is a new level of pretty.
Is it good?
It is, actually. I think, John, you will really like it. It's because you do really well at tile placement and matching sides. So if you got there's tiles that you put down to build the garden up, and each tile's got obviously got 4 sides, and each side's got a terrain type. So it's either forested or woodland or grass or path or water or whatever. And if you match, you've got to match it to all of the sides that you put it down, and by doing that, you'll score points and get money, and that's basically how you win. But you can also put down all of these little features like pagodas and water lilies and trees, and basically to prettify the place. But you can also put visitors in the garden, and around the edge of the board, you can build landscapes, and they're really pretty. So depending on what these people end up looking at will score you more points at the end of the game. So it's like a sort of triple-leveled scoring affair based around all of this lovely, lovely prettiness. And it is very, very fun. Cool. It is really good. Very, very clever game. And very relaxing, actually, considering.
I like a good relaxing game. We play quite a lot of stressful games where you're like, how am I going to get any of this stuff to work? And they're pressuring me now because I was taking 15 minutes for my turn.
Damn right we're pressuring you. King chop chop.
But I haven't worked out the optimal move yet.
That doesn't stop me or Steve. Okay, just play it. That'll do.
Play by instinct. That's the way to do it.
Exactly.
I don't think I have instincts like that. Mine are much slower.
Oh, me and Adam playing the other day, and we went for it in ridiculous speed because we both play on instinct. Oh, we played a couple of games of Exceed, the Street Fighter version. So, Exceed probably isn't a game that's going to interest you guys, but it's basically like a 2D beat 'em up in board game form. Right. So you have your characters on the board, and this was a Street Fighter version of it. So we're doing Ken and Ryu as our kind of like level playing field match.
Shoryuken!
Yep, fired a couple of them off.
Awesome.
And what you do is it's a very quick game anyway, because you basically just take one action every round. It could be move and draw a card, do nothing and draw a card, or attack. And the problem is if you attack, the other person also attacks. So you both draw an attack card, like put them face down so no one can see what they are, and then reveal them. And whoever has the highest speed goes first. And then you've got block, and you've got it's not block, it's something else. So block stops damage, and there's another one which is like which
parry
stops you. It's not parry. I can't remember the exact word. What it does, it stops you from, if this figure is high enough, it means you can still make your attack even if you went second. Stun. It's like a stun resistance. But yeah, it's really, really quick because it was just like, boom, 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 boom. Just play these cards. And there was also a point in the game where you can take a wild swing, which you just take the top card off your deck without seeing what it is and go, right, I'm doing that.
Flail.
Yeah. So I managed to get a Shoryuken off.
Well done.
Which I was impressed with. Which I was rather chuffed with. And then after that, I got beaten to a pulp.
Nice. Excellent.
Is it fun?
2 games in like 10 minutes. Yeah, it is. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of these kind of games, and the Exceed system, I've played it before with the original IP, which was their own kind of IP. And so they made this fighting game with their own characters, and I felt a bit detached from it because I didn't care about the IP. They've also done, they've done Street Fighter version, and they've done a Shovel Knight version as well, if you know what that is.
Oh, yes.
I know of it. I never actually played it.
Yeah. So I found the Street Fighter one much more interesting because I had a bit more investment in the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Playing generic manga boy with blonde hair, which turns into a dragon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, this is all very nice. Who the hell's this guy? Do you know what? I don't care.
I don't care. Indeed.
Oh, speaking of other small things, what have turned up, Votes and Virtue, the expansion to Donning the Purple, has turned up as well. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it is here. Hurrah. So we should be able to get through a game of that in about 20 minutes.
That's the challenge now, isn't it?
Record's been set.
Yeah. Although we did have the designer there to do all the setup and tear down kind of thing, so
it helps.
Yeah, having someone who knows the game quite literally inside out to do the upkeep is very important for a quick game.
Cheating?
No.
No. Just right, we're on to the next round. Right,
yep.
Okay, fair enough.
Done. And we've got through the entire game in 20 minutes. Bloody hell.
Have you played this, John?
No.
I think you'll like this game because this is the most direct of dick moves game.
Yes, we've had this discussion before, and I think we concluded then that I would enjoy this game. It's just one of the many that never got to the table with me.
Airecon it is then.
Yes, I'll bring it along because it'll do 4 now, because the base game does 3, but it'll do 4 with the expansion, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But we did like it when we played it, so that'll be good.
Let's talk about some news, gents.
Go on then.
All right then.
I've got to admit, it's quite thin pickings this week.
Yeah, the ferrets are going hungry.
Now, I was hoping we were going to have some exciting D&D news because Twitter was all Twitter about a big announcement from Wizards of the Coast.
Oh dear.
Sorry, Andy.
Dickhead.
Everyone was talking about this big announcement from Wizards of the Coast that was going to happen last Friday. Everyone was expecting it to be, Xanathar's Guide to Everything Else. They were going to announce like a big new book with all these character classes they've been revealing in Unearthed Arcana. They seem to be doing all this, so everyone's getting really, really excited. What's it going to be? What's it going to be? What's it going to be?
And then
it was like an earnings report.
Oh.
Boo.
Yeah, and they announced I think they're doing 7 video games.
7?
Yeah, the thing is, there's an awful lot of Dungeons and Dragons video games that you don't know about because they're shite.
I can believe that.
Because there is a Tomb of Annihilation video game.
Really?
Yep.
It's shite.
It's not reviewed very well. I mean, they did the Legends of the Sword Coast game, which I played about half of it, which is a fantastic story, but an utterly boring game. So, yeah.
It's a shame when they don't translate, isn't it?
Well, the other one they've done is that mobile game, which was awful as well, like Heroes of Waterdeep or something like that, or Rivals of Waterdeep.
Oh, I started playing that.
Yeah.
It was shit. I'll not beat about the bush.
So we'll wait and see until they've actually announced these games. So what we have had that's a bit of an interesting, which is a proper sneak peek, is we've seen the map for Frosthaven.
Ooh, this is Gloomhaven covered in icing sugar, isn't it?
It is indeed. But I noticed one major difference is you've actually got a map of the city of Frosthaven, or the outpost of Frosthaven, and there seems to be an awful lot of empty building plots on that map.
Yeah, so it's a city campaign then, potentially.
So, well, it's the map's in 2 halves. So you've got the northern coast, which has got mountains and glaciers and some weird crystalline foresty kind of things. And then you've got the other bottom half of the map is the outpost of Frosthaven, which, as I said, is a city which has got 5 or 6 buildings, but about 20 plots.
Ooh.
So my guess is you're gonna actually have to build up the town as you play, rather than just go out and explore.
Sounds good.
That does sound like quite an interesting idea. Sometimes DMs do sort of cover bits and pieces of that. Like there was a good chunk of Dice Camera Action where they'd inherited a house and were kind of doing that up to their specifications, or indeed having it blown up to smithereens and then having to rebuild it.
Do we think Sinister Fish are going to do some removable stickers again?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I hope so. That reminds me, actually, I need to play Gloomhaven. I've got it. Not started it yet.
Well, this is the kind of problem I've got. I'm quite excited for Frosthaven, and then thought, although I've played, actually, I counted the amount of times I've played Gloomhaven. I've played it quite a bit, but I think I'm only 3 missions into the campaign, and that's it.
We've played the same one at least twice, haven't we?
Yeah. We still didn't beat it, did we?
Nope. At least the second time we didn't accidentally cheat against our favour.
Yes, true. Got the difficulty wrong, so had it on 3-player difficulty rather than 2-player difficulty.
Ooh.
And couldn't work out why we couldn't beat the enemies quick enough.
Couldn't even get in the door, let alone get to the main bad guy. Yeah, even in the our more successful attempt where we got through the front door, we still got absolutely smashed to pieces by the bad guy.
Yeah. I think we said that if we did it a third time, we'd just try and ignore as many bad guys as possible and quite literally just sprint for the end boss.
Beat him up.
Because it's one of those games that it was one of those scenarios where trying to get to the end boss was just whittled you down. So you get to the end boss and go, right, we're there, and then find out you've got 3. Yeah.
Wait. Hold on.
I'm quite badly hurt already. Could you just take it easy on me, please?
Yeah, there's a scenario like that I'm playing through in the video game version of it, where there's this huge big bugger that I've got to kill. I've basically got to kill 3 or 4 minions in the first room. Then you open the main door and get into this room. There's about 6 or 7 of his other minions, and then this huge big bugger that keeps spawning skeletons.
So Rory's kindly made some news articles for us, but I think I'll rattle through these because they don't interest me. One of the first one is Steamforged Games have recruited another member of Games Workshop, which is former Games Workshop head of sales.
Meh.
Entertainment One plans for Hasbro Treasure Chest, which means nothing to me, just seems like a bunch of buzzwords.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that, because I actually did read the news, unlike some of these slackers.
John Cage in prep before episode shocker.
Bloody hell, John. What's going on?
Who are you?
This child's changed you, John. You used to be cool.
Oh, a bit harsh. So Hasbro acquired Entertainment One, which seemed like a good move on their part because they're getting access to IPs like Peppa Pig, The Walking Dead, Death Row, blah, blah, blah. Loads of stuff like that. But it works both ways. So Entertainment One are then going to get access to Hasbro's stuff. So you could start seeing like kids' TV shows based on Magic the Gathering, for example.
Ah, okay. Is that why? Are they responsible for this new Transformers program that the trailer dropped for this week?
That could be. I've not researched that bit, but that could be the sort of thing that you'd expect to see. Yeah.
Okay.
On Transformers Mattel, or are they Hasbro?
Oh, Mattel got bought out by Hasbro donkeys years ago.
Right, cool.
Yeah, I don't think Mattel has existed for like 20 years.
I'm showing my age then, aren't I?
They're saying that I haven't actually got round to watching the episode of The Toys That Made Us on Transformers yet.
Really good.
I've not watched any of those.
Have you started seeing the films that made us?
No.
This is a new series. Same people who did the toys that made us. They started doing the films that made us.
Oh,
so there's like some iconic films from our past. One of them's Dirty Dancing. One of them's Ghostbusters. That's a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
And another one's Home Alone.
Okay.
They must
really
have
good.
covered Goonies in that as well, right?
I don't know. I've only seen the 3 so far.
I rewatched
there may be
Goonies the other
more.
day.
I've
Still
never
good.
seen it.
What?
Yeah, what?
I know. I've never
Whoa,
seen
whoa,
the
whoa.
Goonies. Or if I have, I don't remember it.
Wait, I think we should just stop this right now.
No, that's it.
You're fired, Lewis.
Say like, pull the plug.
You've never watched it?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh my god.
I know.
I'm speechless. I'm actually speechless.
I say we rewatched it again about 6 months ago. Yeah, it just does actually stand up. What got me is how fast it goes. It goes a hell of a lick compared to a modern film. You know, it's where modern films where they slow and considering. Goonies is like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so does this mean we're getting a Magic the Gathering cartoon or a Peppa Pig plays D&D special?
I mean, that's the sort of thing that could happen.
A bacon mancer.
Bacon Mancer. Yeah, I mean, they got quite a few IPs like G.I. Joe, Action Man, Power Rangers, D&D, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, it's quite a lot that they could make use of.
Oh, and the last one on our list is that Kickstarter union has finally been formed.
The controversies are over, they're allowed.
Kickstarter United. That sounds like some kind of shit low league football team.
It does a bit, doesn't it?
So one game me and John played over the weekend, I've played a couple of times, and it's a shame that Rory couldn't make it today because I know he's played this a few times as well. And that's Horrified, which is a new game. I think it came in America just before Christmas, but it's only just come out over here. And this is a game about Universal's horror monsters. You are people within a kind of gothic horror town, which is being stalked by various creatures of the night, such as Dracula, the Mummy, the Wolfman, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and your job is to vanquish them.
Yep,
And
to
vanquish
save
them
the
before-
villagers and save the town.
Yes, and you have to do this before either they kill too many villagers or kill you too many times.
Steve. We'll come to that.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So, what this game is it's very pandemic-y. And that sounds a bit of a derision of it in a way, and in some ways it is. In the game, you'll have 4 actions each round, which you can move around the map. So you've got your typical kind of map with areas located throughout it. And on these areas, you'll get items. And these items are split into 3 different colours, blue, red, and yellow, and each item will also have a number on them. And you tend to find the items are things like hardware and weapons, so things like shovels and forks, pitchforks, shotguns, that kind of thing. Blue items are scientific inventions like photographs, cameras, and typewriters, and some more fancier things than that. And yellow things are like general purpose things like garlic. And did the wooden stake come into the yellow?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And in order to beat the bad guys, you have to do something completely different for each monster, which is where the game gets interesting. So, for instance, to defeat Dracula, you need at least 6 points in red, and you need to go to one of his coffins and spend these 6 points worth of red tokens to smash up one of his coffins.
Mm-hmm.
Then once you've smashed up all 4 of his coffins, you can now go there and wallop him, which requires 6 yellow tokens, and he's defeated. The creature from the Black Lagoon, you've got to spend tokens in order to send a ship expedition through a map. So each time you spend a token, it'll go a certain number of spaces along this map. And you
it's like a little track, a linear track.
Spend tokens to send the ship down this track, and you need to get the ship to the very end of the track, and then you can defeat the creature from the Black Lagoon. The one me and you played with, John, was the mummy. Mm-hmm. The mummy, you've actually got a little puzzle you've got to solve. So every time you spend an icon, you can move several pieces of this puzzle.
So it's like one of those puzzles which has got 1 space more than you've got counters. So you can shift them backwards and forwards, but you've always got 1 space empty.
Yeah, one of those sliding block kind of puzzles, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You didn't play it, but the previous game we played with the Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting about that one is you end up with twice as many monsters because you have both Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein on the board.
Frankenstein's monster. Frankenstein was the scientist.
Sorry, Frankenstein's monster and the Bride of Frankenstein. Sorry,
pedant.
Yes.
Is he officially called Adam, or is that just the film where they called him Adam?
What, Frankenstein's monster?
Yeah, in one of the film adaptations, he was called Adam.
Really?
You think
It's
of the
Adam
Rocky
and
Horror
Eve,
Show?
yeah. No. I'm pretty sure the last Mary Shelley's Frankenstein movie, they called him Adam.
Oh.
Or it was in the show notes, but I don't know. I've never actually read Frankenstein, so I can't tell you. Anyway, you get Frankenstein's monster and the Bride of Frankenstein into the same place. If you do this at the wrong time, it's bad. But what you have to do is you have to spend tokens to try and improve their humanity and realise they're human. So you've got these 2 dials you have to turn to the top of the dial, and then you manage to flip the tokens, and then you've got to get the 2 of them together to meet and realise that they're human, and so they wander off.
So like Ghostbusters with the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper.
Yeah, not far off.
Nice one.
Yeah. So while you're doing this, you also have villagers on the board, which you're trying to get back to their respective locations. Each villager has got like a safe place, which you're trying to get them back to. And you've also got you on the board as well. And you're drawing, at the end of every round, you're drawing a card, which usually has some kind of event on, and then will activate monsters. And it'll activate different monsters each time. The monsters will activate and will try and attack either you or the villagers. And if they kill the villagers or kill you, the terror track goes up by 1. If it gets to 9, game over.
Right.
Steve.
It does
We'll
sound...
come back to that.
It really does sound like Pandemic. 4 actions, do things, 4 different colours. If the Doom track reaches the end, you will lose.
Yep.
It feels like Pandemic crossed with a light Arkham Horror.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. And what do we know about playing Pandemic with Steve? Don't let Steve draw any kind of cards that could lose us the game.
Oh.
Or in this game, don't allow Steve to die every single frigging turn.
See, what you can do is if you've got items, when you get hit as a player, you can discard items to survive. And I kept getting attacked with without any items.
So you're just completely defenceless and just got whopped on the head.
Yeah, we kept saying, like, oh, it's all right. I mean, I'm within 1 space of Dracula. It's fine. Dracula activated last turn. He won't activate again. Turn a card over. Dracula activates. Ah, for God's sake.
Every single time.
Well
I think the last round as well, because you actually roll a dice. The bad guys don't naturally kill you. You actually roll a set of dice, and the set of dice is determined by the card you draw at the end of the round as well. And there's blanks on there, and then there's exclamation marks, and every monster has its own exclamation mark thing. Where, like, I think Dracula draws the player to them with hypnosis. The Frankenstein's monster and the bride move closer together. The creature from the Black Lagoon. The creature from the Black Lagoon. The boat goes back.
Oh, that's
goes
right.
backwards on the bloody track, which is infuriating. But if you get a star, like an explosion mark, you take a damage. I think on the very last round of the game, we basically went, right, we can do this. We just got to survive this round. Right, what's the attack? 3 dice. Okay. A single explosion, and we're dead. 3 explosions get rolled.
So very dead.
Yeah.
Me and Adam did a lot better at this than me and John did. I don't think that was actually our fault, though.
No, I don't think there's much that we could have done differently. It just felt, I don't know. I mean, I've only played this once, but I found that I felt a little bit kind of at the mercy of the deck and the dice rolls. We were making good decisions, I felt. It's just, it didn't matter.
The game was against you. So does that mean that, is it the kind of game I probably hate, in the sense that you are very much at the mercy of the dice and the cards, and there's not really much you can do about it?
No, because you can do stuff about it.
Oh.
Don't go anywhere near the bloody monsters.
Good advice.
If you're gonna stand like one space away from a monster, you're asking for trouble. It's
and yet, Steve, it sounds like you repeatedly fell foul of this advice.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
The tricky thing is that, because it's all very well just avoiding the monsters, but the villagers don't do anything sensible about trying to avoid them. And so they'll inevitably get killed. And if they get killed, it's basically the same effect as you getting killed, because they just march you up the doom track.
Okay.
We could have just had an unlucky game, and it's a pandemic-esque game, so it's always fun to know that you're kind of up against it and you're trying to co-op your way around it. It just felt a bit fruitless in the game that we played.
I think also as well, the game me and Adam had played previously, because the villagers don't start on the board. So the random event cards you draw will put villagers onto the board, which can, will be quite a hindrance to you if a villager ends up on the bloody same space as a monster and that monster activates. And the game me and Adam played, we didn't get any villagers until like 5 or 6 rounds in.
Oh, right.
So we got a bit of a head start. We didn't have to worry about them, so we could get, cheese it to a couple of the objectives and get them done. We still lost, but we lost. I think we killed 2 of the monsters and we had 1 left to do. But the interesting thing about the game is it's different every time, because you've got 6 monsters, I think it is, to choose from, and on a standard difficulty game you'll use 3.
Right.
So you can see there's several permutations of monsters you can use, which will change the game every time.
Yeah, and the interplay is different. Yeah. So yeah, not one I'm going to be rushing out to buy, but it was fun. I just, if someone said, "Do you fancy playing that again, John?" I would be like, I guess so.
Oh, really? So I really liked it, but I'm kind of almost agreeing with you. I thought it was a very well done game, but I think it goes back to what we were actually discussing on the last episode. It covers a lot of bases that I've already got, and the other thing as well, this is absolutely beautiful. It is it's a stellar production. Nice thick cardstock for everything, beautiful art everywhere. It looks, for a horror game, it's amazingly colourful. So it's got a really nice table presence, and it does look really nice. And the rule book's really well put together, and the board's well put together, so it's pretty straightforward. I mean, after trying to learn on Mars, I then looked at this rule book and went, "Oh, phew! This feels like a relief."
But there's only 2 pages. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
I think it definitely does that well. Like, it does look pretty, as you say, but I actually think that's one of the things that works to its detriment in my mind. Because if you've got a tense kind of game like this maybe ought to be, like you would feel like you're on the brink of just about making it. I just felt like, I don't know, it just felt sort of chintzy almost, like a bit too bright and cheerful, and like, oh, well, you're nearly dead. Oh, now you are dead. I just felt like I didn't have much agency in it, like in terms of actually affecting the ultimate outcome. yeah, we were doing some stuff in the meantime. But I didn't feel that same kind of Arkham Horror or pandemic-y kind of feel where it's like I literally did feel like I had control and we were doing the best we can and we were preventing this stuff. You know, we were going to potentially make this thing. It just felt a bit more like, and then another one's dead, and then Steve's dead again, he's back in the hospital, and then the villager's dead, and then it's just like, it didn't feel like we were doing anything that was changing the outcomes significantly.
It honestly sounds very similar to Betrayal at House on the Hill in that sense, that it doesn't really matter what you do, either way.
No, I would say it's nowhere near like that. As I said,
Oh, that's good.
We say it's more like pandemic because it is. You know, as long as you are on top of things and are, you know, making sure that you're fulfilling these objectives. As I said, the game me and Adam were, we lost by a couple of rounds, I think. We killed 2 of the monsters. We the last one we were actually only had the creatures from the Black Lagoon left, and I think we'd actually got the boat to near the end of the track, so we were almost there. And it was just one of those things where like a bad card draw just went, oh crap, off we go kind of thing. We're off the edge now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I don't think you're as out of control as John's making out, but it does. You are dealing with the randomness, of course. You're dealing with the randomness of the cards, which are going to affect when creatures come out. Also, there's this thing where there's a frenzied monster. So there's one monster will be frenzied, which means they're more likely to attack than any other, and that can move as you go through the game, which can have quite a nasty effect.
Right, but you can see what it's doing. You can kind of see where it's going to come. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to admit, from what you guys have described, it doesn't sound like my kind of game.
I'd say give it a go. Like I would play it again if someone said, "Let's have a game of this." I wouldn't just chuck it off the table and refuse. But equally, it's not something I feel like I'd go out looking for.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think it depends as well how much you're into the theme. If you're really into like the Universal monsters, it's you're going to get a lot out of this. And what it does, I think it does really well, but it's doing the same thing that a lot of games are already doing.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It doesn't have it doesn't have like a USP or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the big USP is the fact that there's different monsters and each monster works differently. But at the end of the day, you're still collecting tokens to cash in tokens.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was Horrified, which should be in the shops now.
So, Steve and I managed to get another little game to the table, which is Noctiluca from Z-Man Games.
Sorry.
Not Z-Man.
You all right?
Yeah, I just find it humorous that we refuse to call him Z-Man.
Well, that's not how you pronounce it, so damn right.
Yes.
This is England, god damn it.
Speak the Queen's English here.
Noctiluca it's an interesting one, actually. I describe this as a cross between Sagrada and Lanterns, which I think put Steve off when I mentioned this before.
Yeah, because I can't stand lanterns.
What? I think you just said those 2 games, and my instant internal reaction was, sounds kind of shit.
So let me elaborate a little bit, because maybe those were unfair comparisons.
Okay.
It is a dice drafting set collection kind of game. So in this game, there's a pool with these little jellyfish called Noctiluca, and you're gradually trying to fill up jars of Noctiluca to get sets, i.e. particular sets of colours, like 3 orange dice and 2 purple dice, or three blue dice and a couple of green dice, that sort of thing. The interesting thing is that to collect these things, you've each got a little pawn, and you place it around the edge of this pool. And when you place your pawn down, you can then pick all of the dice in one direction of a particular number. So imagine lots of little pockets of these jellyfish in a line. I think there's up to about 4 in a row, basically. And in each of these little pockets, there are between 4 and 5 dice. So you're looking at one of these rows and thinking, right, I need to get at least a couple of blues, some greens, and some oranges. And if I go on that row over there, and I pick all the number 2s, then I'll get how many oranges, how many blues, how many purples, to try and fill my jars. And if you fill the jars, you get some points. If you've each got a secret objective, which is a specific colour of Noctiluca. The more you get of those on the cards that you fulfill, the jars, the more points you'll get for that. Whoever's got of the points tokens that you pick up when you fulfill those jars, whoever's got the majority of each one of those gets a little bit of a bonus from all the ones that haven't been selected.
Should also be said as well, the point tokens, so what you do is there's 3 colours of jars. So when you fulfill a jar of a particular colour, you take the token off the top of the stack and the points go up as you play.
Up, not down.
Up, not down, which
interesting.
is quite odd. But it means that the more jars you take of that colour, the more potentially more points there are. So there's a little bit of a, which jar shall I go for? Especially towards the end of the game when a couple of those stacks are getting low, because those jars are worth a hell of a lot more at that point.
Yeah.
And then some of the jars have got their own bonus points. So more difficult jars have actually got bonus points on top of those point tokens as well.
Yeah. So you take it in turns. You've each got a certain number of pawns, and there's 12 in total shared between how many players there are. So if there's fewer players, you get more goes. In the first round, you go clockwise. So you each take it in turns to put a pawn down, which means the first person to go gets lots and lots of choice. And the last person to go gets relatively limited choice, ultimately.
Well, no choice, because you've only got one spot to go.
Yes, you got one spot. And then you have a second round after that, where you go in the opposite direction, and whoever put the last pawn down goes first. And I've played this 4 or 5 times now, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a good little... It starts off looking very light indeed, but you do start to have to think a little bit, because you're trying to match... You're looking at the jars in front of you, so you're picking, like, I need to have at least 2 oranges and a green and a blue. And you're looking at it, and it sounds simple enough. You just need to get those things, except that if you get more than the things you need, the extra ones then start going around the table to the next person, and the next person, and the next person. So all of your leftovers can be benefiting your neighbours. So you've got to get the optimum possible move is where you just fulfill your jars and nobody else's. And when you're looking at colours that you want, and you're trying to identify which dice numbers you need to get to that based on where you put your pawn in several directions, it's quite a lot of levels to kind of line up and get right.
Sounds, well, kind of almost, yeah.
I when Jon described this, when he last talked about it in the podcast, I thought it sounded awful. I mean, it didn't help that he said it was similar to Lanterns, which I've decided is a game I can't stand. But it's nothing like Lanterns at all.
Well, that's good.
The only similarity between this and Lanterns is there are bright colours.
Okay.
You're doing kind of colours and set collection, but yeah.
But it's not set collection. You're fulfilling it's more like contract completion.
Yeah,
because a set collection suggests, like, oh, you need 5 of this colour, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of dice. These little jars are just, that's not a set, that's just whatever that jar is what you need. Now, it's a pattern recognition game, which means I am generally terrible at these games, and my wife is amazing at them, which usually means that as we play, my wife is tutting and going, go there. But I did think this game was a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be, based on what Jon described it as last time. Because especially when it's the beginning of the round, you do have a lot of options. And it's a case of, like, do I try and hoover up as much dice as possible? Do I try and block someone else? Because you can work out what someone else is going to need. And if you're really good at pattern recognition, see which patterns they're going to grab. You can, as Jon said, any surplus dice get handed round. So if you can try and make sure that, oh crap, I'm going to pick up a purple dice, which I don't need. Oh, no one else needs purple. We're fine then.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more in depth than I think it first seemed, but it is a light game. It's a light family game.
Oh, definitely,
without doubt. And really easy, really straightforward to get your head around. And I don't think it's like much else. I'm just trying to think of, and I've got a bit of game déjà vu about it. It reminds me of something else that I can't quite put my finger on, but I can't think what it is.
It sounds familiar. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It does have elements of Sagrada in it. Because
there's dice.
Yeah, but you're looking for particular patterns, like the numbers and the colours of the dice.
I think it's nothing like Sagrada. Because in Sagrada, you're trying to build a pattern. This, you're just trying to grab dice from a pattern.
Yeah, but you're still trying to slot particular colours and numbers of dice into.
But it's nowhere near as complicated as Sagrada. Sagrada, you've got to be really careful about how you place that dice to meet that requirement. This is just, I need to put a purple dice on the purple slot. I don't have to do them in order. I don't have to make sure the numbers match. It's just grabbing those dice. Doesn't matter what's on there.
But you are still matching the numbers to work out which combinations of dice
it's
you need.
not that in-depth thing of Sagrada where you're trying to match what you need. It is just about looking at what's on the board and looking what's the optimum number to grab to get the dice you need.
Yeah.
Fight.
Well, what's the thing? Because if somebody hasn't played it, if they think, they're thinking it's going to be like Sagrada, which is, Sagrada, Azul are all quite similar games. I don't think it's anything like those games.
I 100% agree that it's much lighter than Sagrada. But I don't know. I use similar bits of my brain when I play Noctiluca that I do when I play Sagrada. Just in terms of I'm trying to match specific colours and numbers and I don't know.
I'd say it's a similar kind of part of your brain when you use, we mentioned it earlier, 5 tribes. Because 5 tribes, you look at the board and you're trying to work out the optimum move to make based on like this kind of like pattern view. Mm-hmm. I say it's more akin to that. You're looking at what's on the board and looking at what's the best move you can get to meet the requirements you want at this time.
I'm not sure I've played 5 tribes, so maybe that's... I'll take your word for that.
Have either of you two played Coimbra?
No, I played it at yours, didn't I? Is that the Euro one when you've got dice and you've got you've got people?
That's it, yeah.
And you
yeah. Is it like that?
Oh God, no! It's far more straightforward than that.
Okay.
It is quite literally choose a spot on the board with one of your pawns, choose a direction, and choose a number.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So you choose the spot where you put your pawn, you choose what number you want, you grab all the dice with that number in that row.
Right.
But from any spot, there are two possible rows.
It's a hexagonal grid, so there's 2 different directions you can go from every single spot.
Okay.
Which means that some spots can actually only give you like 2 spots. 2 places can only grab you 2 spots of dice, whereas others can grab you 5, for instance.
Okay, I see. Ah, interesting.
It's a really quick game, and it's very light, but I think it's worth a go, actually, Andy.
It's only a 1.43 out of 5 on BGG's
wow.
rating.
That's the kind of thing I'll do in my sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it sounds interesting. I do like kind of games like that because it's so contract fulfillment, and it sounds like there's kind of an efficiency element in it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely, because you can easily grab too many dice, and by grabbing too many dice, you actually give everyone else a bonus. Yeah, and there's also this thing about when you try and get fulfill these jars, because I said they're worth more points the later in the game, which is quite a interesting twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, it does sound interesting.
Despite explaining that point that it's possibly better to do more expensive jars slowly early on and then do quicker ones faster towards the end, and that you need to collect the dice of the colour that you've got, the secret, and that nobody else knows about. But Amanda managed to ignore both of those pieces of advice and was less than happy when it was pointed out that she was collecting the colours of dice on the card, not the colours of the card, to get your secret objective.
Which didn't help that she had a colour of card which matched her secret objective. Mine was obvious because mine was the purple jellyfish for purple dice, and there are no purple jars. Whereas Amanda had the yellow, and there were purple jellyfish and yellow jars.
Yes, true.
So it wasn't. I can admit, I got it straight away because there was no other option for me. But I could see how Amanda got confused with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have blue and purple in the same game?
Yes.
Cardinal sin. I won't be able to play it because I won't be able to tell a bloody difference.
See if you can see on the screen on the photos. I dropped a link in the show notes. See if you can see whether the difference, because they may have picked shades that are, dog friendly.
Out of curiosity, what were you like with On Mars?
Oh, they're fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I thought they were odd choices for colours. It's like teal, a slightly different shade of teal, yellow and purple.
Yeah, I can see your point. They are strange choices.
Not teal. One was teal, one was turquoise. So you've got a bluey green and a greeny blue.
See, to me, it's just yellow, green, blue, and pink.
Maybe that's
and
it.
I can definitely tell them apart, which is fine. But looking at this picture I've just randomly found of Noctiluca, I think there's blue dice on the left and pinkish dice on the right, but I think if they were all sort of scrambled up on the board, I'd probably struggle.
Okay.
Cardinal sin
Well-
for games designers there. Never put purple and blue in the same game.
It'll come
Purple,
to
blue, green, and orange.
it'll come to Airecon with me, so you
Okay.
can have a look there.
Okay, I'll have a go.
I said it's a quick game. You can knock out a game of that in half an hour once you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Speaking of games you can knock out in half an hour,
Indeed.
I think this week we've all played Port Royal. No, Port Royal. I keep calling it Port Royal, but there's no E on the end.
No,
It's
Laura
Port
keeps
Royal.
doing that as well. I keep correcting her. No, it's Port Royal because it's a place in the Caribbean. Caribbean.
Yep. Steve got sick of me correcting him.
Caribbean.
Yes, Port Royal. A
Ross.
game from Alexander Pfister, same person who designed Great Western Trail, in fact. And you can kind of tell, in a way. So instead of collecting cows, you are collecting people, I suppose. Shields. So it's a bit like, almost like Splendor, in a way. So once you get to a certain number of these cards you have, or you're trying to get, some have shields on them which are worth points, and once somebody gets to 12 points in front of them, a bit like in Splendor, then that sort of triggers the end of the game. But in order to get there are some very clever things what go on. So it's an entirely card-based game. It's a massive, great stack of these things. Cards are double-sided. So on one side are either ships, which are worth money, or they are people that are worth either and or shields, which are worth points, and an ability. So they can give you like an extra coin if you have a particular type, if you find a particular type of ship, for example. On the back side of every card is a coin. So the cards are also used as currency. So if you keep them face down, they're worth money, or any people have powers face up in front of you so everyone can see what's going on. And ultimately you build up these cards. Some of them have special icons like crosses or swords or whatever, and you can use these to fulfill contracts that may or may not come out, which are worth extra points. Again, a bit like Splendor. In fact, it's a lot like Splendor.
It is
A little bit.
But
Yeah.
it's got a push your luck aspect to it.
Yes.
So rather than collecting things like Splendor, you're hoping for the best.
Yes. And I found that very, very entertaining because it actually kind of reminds me, it is a cross between Dead Man's Draw and Splendor.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
And you keep drawing cards as many as you like until you get two ships the same, or the same colour, at which point you go bust and then it's the next person.
Unless
you
you
can
defend against them.
Yes. So there are some people that you can buy that have swords on them, and you can lots and lots of swords. Each ship has a sort of a fight value. As long as you equal to or greater the number of, if you have the equal to or greater the number of swords in front of you, then the ship is worth. Then you can get rid of it, and you won't go bust. Or when you're later on in the game, you can just start rifling through the deck, basically going, no, don't want that, no, don't want that, no, don't want that, and start bidding them off. If you manage to get, there are 5, I think it is, colours of ship, and if you get
There are 6 colours, aren't there?
6, is it 5?
I can't remember.
I think it's
Maybe
5.
it's
I
5.
think it's 5. Because if
Red,
you
blue, yellow, green, black. Yeah, it's 5.
And the more of these sort of colours of ship that come out, and they're all different, the more cards you are entitled to buy. So you've got a big pile of cards in front of you that are worth money, and you can buy 1, 2, or 3, depending on whether you have 3, 4, or 5 colours of ship that have come out.
Or take them. You can just take the ships and gain the money from them.
Or take the ships, yes. So yes, you can do either of those things. But if you start buying things, then the rest of the people in the group are entitled to buy 1 card once you finish doing what your things, but they have to pay you a coin in order to do so. And that's basically it. It's really straightforward, but it is bloody good fun.
It does get a little bit tricky because even the contracts that you're trying to fulfill, they might be worth, say, 4 points, but you have to spend 2 points worth of people to fulfill that contract. So all they really do is kind of double your money, and then you lose their abilities.
Yes.
So I found when Steve and I played that I was kind of holding on to them because it was only going to add like 2 points, and I suddenly lose 2 abilities. So I was trying to hold on to them as long as I could until I could basically fulfill things. As long as it didn't look like Steve was going to fulfill all the contracts himself, then I might as well hold out.
Which wasn't going to happen at this point.
No.
I still don't know what... I got to the end of that game and I still don't know what I'd spent my money on. Because I had loads of ships, so I had loads of income. And then I was like, oh, yeah, well, I don't actually have many people. Where's all my money going? But I had taxes at one point. There's a card as well with taxes.
Yeah.
And if you have over a certain amount of money, when the taxes come out, you'd lose like half of it.
Yeah, you had exactly that amount.
I had exactly that amount of cash, yeah, when the taxes came out. So
yes, if you got 12, I think it is, and you lose half of it. That's right.
I had exactly 12, yes.
And everyone else gets a bonus if they fulfill the criteria on the bottom of that card, I think, as well. But that varies depending on the card. It's very good. Now, I've only played it as a 2-player with Alora, and it works quite well, but I can imagine it would be better with 3 or 4 because of the interaction.
Yeah, perhaps. It was definitely good at 2. Because we played it just the 2 of us.
I can't see it making much odds, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because you can always buy a card that from the display. So I can see it being one of those games that just feels very similar because there's no direct actions against anyone else, is there? You know, it's not like you're taking actions which affect anyone.
Boom.
You're taking things from the deck, and then the only way it's going to affect it is if you can kind of card count and try and work out like how many blue ships have gone out so far, kind of thing.
But even that won't work because you're taking some of the cards as coins.
Yeah.
So you don't know what's being hidden under people's hands and things.
That's true. Good point. But yes, no, Alora got it a couple of days ago. She's been on a bit of a mission to acquire sort of light games for us to take on holiday with us when we go, because we can't take... I've tried to say I can take On Mars, but she's for some reason said no.
Is that because it's a holiday and she'd like to enjoy herself?
But yeah, so this is one of the games that she's sort of grabbed, and we really enjoyed it. It's actually quite good fun.
This was on my shelf of shame. This was a game I didn't actually buy. I bought something online off an eBay store, which often has bargains of games, and he sent me the wrong game. He sent me Port Royal instead. And of course, straight away I went, "Hey, this isn't the game I ordered." And he quite literally went, "Well, it's not worth the postage and you send it back, so you might as well keep it and I'll get your other game posted to you."
Nice one.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
And
I
it
think
turned out to be rather good.
Yeah. I think the artwork could probably be a little bit more jazzy, because...
Do you know what? It looks like every single Euro from about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because every single Euro had that shonky art and shonky graphic design. If you look like... I'm not a massive fan of the game. If you like Le Havre, it looks like that. You know, it's that kind of Le Havre. What's the other one from the same designer? Agricola kind of era art.
Oh yeah, okay, yes, I know what you mean. Exactly right. And it's even got the same font as Agricola actually, and Caverna in the rule book. The font's exactly the same as Uwe Rosenberg stuff. So yes, I know exactly what you mean. It could do with a little bit of differentiation between each of the sort of individual characters, because they're all basically against the same background, and just it's either a chap or a lady and the name of the power underneath, and that's about it.
One surly sailor in front of a tavern looks the same as every other surly sailor in front of a tavern.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not very exciting to look at, but it's really good fun to play. I think it's only about a tenner, isn't it?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's worth it. I think it's definitely pocket change territory.
I remember when pocket change territory was punt territory. How the times have changed.
It's true. In the 4 years we've been doing this debacle.
4 years. I still can't quite believe that.
No,
never can I, actually.
I wonder how many games we've reviewed in the 4 years. How many games we've talked about on the podcast?
It's a good question. It must be in good.
Well, if you think we're on episode 80 now.
Yeah.
It must be a good couple of hundred.
You say, if we say we talk even 2 episodes of podcast, that's 160 games. Say 3, about 180. So let's go 150 games we probably talked about.
That's pretty bonkers, isn't it?
That's half a year's worth in 4 years. That's actually quite shit.
Talked about in some detail, though.
True.
Yeah.
Here's a better question. How many games have we positively reviewed?
I think a reasonable.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
I think the further you go back, I think the more you'll find we review positively. I think we're getting cynical in our old age.
I think you're right. I don't think we've actually torn many games a new one. We've had a good go at a couple, I can remember. But
not for a while.
No.
Not for a while. Then again, we've been actively trying to avoid the really bad games lately.
That is true.
Yeah, or at least games that we don't expect to enjoy. We tend to steer clear of them a little bit more.
Yes.
And with that philosophical bombshell, we'll draw this episode to a close.
Draw a veil over it.
Put that nail in that coffin.
Oh, just throw a rug over it and just pretend it doesn't exist.
Exactly. Lift the rug, sweepy, put the rug down again.
Thank you very much for listening. We have been Polyhedron Collider. We'd love for you to leave us a review on iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. If you want to have a chat to us, we are on Twitter. I'm at PolyhedronC, which is both me and Rory manning that one, and I'm at Waffle.
I'm at Sonic H with a 0.
I'm at Jon_Cage, and when Rory can make it, he's at Rory J. Summers.
We are also on Facebook, and we have a Board Game Geek Guild, which is number 2726, so you can get in touch with us.
If you enjoy a bit of D&D, you can join us live most Thursdays on twitch.tv/Polyhedron Collider, and eventually watch those episodes again on youtube.com/user
It's not going to happen now, is it?
/Polyhedron Collider. It might just happen.
It's not going to happen. You're going to have a tiny human. It's not going to happen.
Not.
Maybe I'll, when I've got this tiny human and I'm sat there and I don't have any sleep, I've just got to hold the damn thing, then presumably I could just click a few buttons and kick off another episode, just
Do you know
churning
what, John?
through to
could do that, you're right. You could, but you won't.
I haven't found the motivation to get my ass in gear this far, right?
Exactly. You'll be asleep, drooling on the sofa with a baby on your lap. That's what'll happen.
That does sound more plausible.
Definitely. We also have polyhedroncollider.com, which Rory is writing news articles, and Andy and Rory are both writing reviews for. I haven't done any for ages because I'm being a slacker. But Andy, your review of Architects of the West Kingdom's on there at the moment.
It is, hurrah! Finally, after we managed to, publish it properly.
Press the right button.
Yes.
But for now, we shall see those of you who are coming to Airecon at Airecon. Our normal service will be resumed sometime toward the end of March. So until then, tatty bye and happy gaming.
Hurrah.
Catch you later.